I want to run through a scenario that I see a lot amongst founders that I've met over the years, right? Where there's a founder building the SaaS startup, still in the early stages, doing something interesting, maybe doing something differentiated, and they start getting inbounds, right, from all these corp dev departments saying that, hey, we like what you're
Right.
doing, or we got to know about you, this, whatever. They got covered in some newsletter or maybe like even a Gartner report or something. The founder is obviously not in the frame of mind of kind of trying to sell the company, but then the corp dev wants to kind of quote unquote build a relationship. How should founders think about fielding these kind of requests, right? Because it is a time commitment, right? Engaging, and sometimes there could be kind of competitive intel angles as well in all of these discussions. What would be your advice to founders?
Hanz and I were just talking about it earlier. I'll start with a cheeky answer first, and then I'll go with a slightly more sort of well represented response. The cheeky answer is, especially if you're an early stage company, right? Ignore all inbounds. Just keep working on building your product to a point where you feel like, okay, it makes sense to me why these guys are coming. So that's my semi-controversial advice. It is very tempting from a ego standpoint to say, oh my gosh, like the head of BD at I don't know, Cisco is reaching out to me, or head of BD at Constellation Software is reaching out to me, and I should absolutely take a call and just kind of get to know them and build. It's a natural inclination, right? But again, oftentimes it is valuable to run this exercise even before you have anybody reaching out to see why would somebody want to reach out to me, and me is in my company, and put them to the test. One thing that Hans and I always joke about is in VC as well. This applies is see how you can verify the validity of their interest before you dive in and start talking about your business. One quick way to do it is seek some kind of insight or support from them, especially if it's a company that you've been wanting to connect with, or if you feel like generally, of course, it makes sense to talk to somebody at Google. So propose something that actually helps them demonstrate to you that they're serious in their interest. Hey, I've been trying to connect with this product team at your company, or I would like to connect with the product team at this company. It's a natural fit. Thank you for reaching out. Would you actually be open to giving me an introduction? And then we can have a conversation. It's a great time for you to reach out. Thank you, but this is what I'd like. And if the person disappears and says, no, I can't do anything, then that indicates that they're probably not that serious, or they probably don't have the pull that they represent or they're trying to represent.
Or they're trying to just deepen their information on the company, and they're trying to do some sort of, their own due diligence, and kind of like when you think about it, these folks who are calling you, they'll have think of it a bookshelf, and instead of bookshelf, it's just dossiers on companies, like which company is going to be valuable at some point and whatever. Be a little bit selfish. Just say, like, so what's your interest? Why are you interested in us, and why now? And what is it that you know about us that
Yes.
enticed you to give us a call? And then, of course, there are the things that you can speak about, right? And the one that you want, use it as a marketing tool. Like, this is great to enhance the visibility of your company in the way that, and then use that in conversations. Like, yeah, we're getting calls for potential acquisitions. We really don't want to do it right now. We think the market is fantastic for our growth, and we're planning on hitting certain markers. And of course, no one is ever opposed to being acquired, but they're opposed to being acquired at a certain price point. Everyone's got their number, right? So yeah, it's actually a good thing. You just use it without having it slow down your momentum of what it is you're
Bingo.
doing.
Yeah, I couldn't have said that better. So the one other thing I'll say as an example of what I fielded, right, is companies, a younger Madhu from maybe years ago would get these calls, get these emails, and some of them turned out to be good relationships that helped out, ended up being helpful later. But as an example, a PE firm would call and say, or a holdco would call and say, I'm really interested. I did some research on your company, and they give you good points of research, right? And you get on the call, say, oh, great, you clearly researched about the company. I'll talk about it. And they'll ask you questions about what you're doing, et cetera. And you've given them a nice picture. Maybe you didn't spill your trade secrets, but you've given them enough that they wouldn't get from the web. And then at the end, one of the people said, actually, that's good to know, that's great, but we're only looking at companies that are sort of whatever at an ARR that's much higher than where we were as a year-old company. So here you are, you gave everything you wanted to with the company, and then at the end he drops the qualifier, and you're like, why did we even talk? Then you knew we were not there because we're only a year old. So these are the things, and Hans's point of, let me ask you 7 questions as to why you reached out. Answer me these 7 questions in email before I turn around and give you 10 minutes of my time, even 5 minutes of my time. This is not to say, be antagonistic to them, right? There is value of your time, and they're in the business of seeking information from you, and you're in the business of protecting your time and only giving it to people that actually are valuable for you.
Because think about it, you're going to give them information, and they're going to give you a score, their internal score. They're not probably going to share that with you, right? So just understand that.